I often thought of our home as a solid, hairless and ancient man. This man, sitting with his flabby arms hugging his round knees, stares hopelessly down at the traffic, at the smaller, modern neighbouring buildings, at the countless people rushing by. He sighs heavily. He's not sure why he's still here. The old man is not well. The old man is dying. He suffers from countless ailments. His skin is discoloured. His internal organs are hemorrhaging. This was our home, and we were even tolerably happy living there until a new resident came. My name is Edward Carey. I was born in England, but I find myself living in Austin, Texas, which is far from home. And I'm here in Iowa City for the Iowa City Book Festival. They say, because all my books are illustrated, they'll ask me, you know, the process of why do you illustrate your book, what happens. But for me, always getting to know the characters, one of the excuse me, things that I always do is draw the characters. I don't know them until I can actually physically see them. So I always draw them, I sketch them. The principal character in Observatory Mansions is this guy called Francis Ormond. I'd been drawing a guy with white gloves for many, many months before I actually started writing about him and wondering who he was. And the same is true for this new book is about a small, young man who's 16 and has got a large head and looks very tired and nervous and carries a bath plug with him wherever he goes. But for me, drawing and writing go together. No, not really. I prefer not to have anybody around when I'm writing, but no, I don't have any specific, just a table and a computer or a pad and a pencil. I cannot get work done in a coffee shop. I see those people who do it and I think, well done, that's brilliant. Good for you, I wish I could. I need nobody around. I suppose with me, again, it's back to sort of writing and drawing. When I've had enough of writing, I'll draw, and then when I've had enough of drawing, I'll write. So they sort of go together, and they're breaks one from the other, and that sort of recharges me. Yeah. Sometimes a character will appear first as a drawing, as I said, and then I get to know that character by drawing him more, and then I'll write about it and go back to the drawing. Then the drawing will change. Sometimes the words come first, and then I try to get the drawing to fit with the words, but they often don't. So the writing and drawing are always arguing with each other, and getting them to actually agree is the hard part. And when they do agree, then I think, okay, that's that. They're both happy, I hope. But then I often change my mind and go back to it. And some characters are impossible, seem really difficult to draw, and some characters I can't stop drawing. I mean, every single time in every single book I've ever written, there have always been characters that never make it into the final draft. You know, I always create one character who's got nothing to do with the plot, and I don't even know that I've created that character, and the character sits there, taking up book space. And this trilogy I'm writing at the moment, there was a character called Moible, like Mabel, but slightly different, and she had an aviary, and she had seagulls everywhere, and the editor said, but she's got nothing to do with the book. And I said, no, and she died. And that was her. Poor Moible. I always lose a Moible every book. Yeah, I mean, as a reasonably young child, I absolutely fell in love with Charles Dickens, and I haven't fallen out of love with him yet, and I don't think that'll ever happen. I keep going back to his work. There are various writers that I always go back to, and I always find enormously inspiring, like Dickens, but like Carson McCullers, or like Bruno Schulz, a great Polish writer who was murdered in World War II. He was Jewish, and all that survived are 2 books of short stories, and they can fit in one sort of small paperback. He had a novel, but that was lost in the Holocaust, and he drew his own work, and his really fragile drawings have somehow survived, and so is his amazing writing. And the thing about Schulz's writing, each time I go back to it, it seems to have changed. I suppose more and more I want to marry sort of the writing with art, so that I could keep putting more of it together. But my first 2 novels are set in cities that don't exist, and this trilogy I'm writing is set in a a fictitious part of Victorian London, in a borough which is full of nothing but rubbish. So all of Victorian London's rubbish are put in one place. And I've always wanted to write about England, about home, about London, and I've never been able to. I always found it very difficult, but now I'm trying to do it in a kind of way, but it's Victorian London, and it's a part of London that never existed. So this is as far as I've got at the moment. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think it is spiritual. I think you're with yourself. You are. I think you expose yourself. You find out who you are when you're writing. Stuff comes out of you that wouldn't in ordinary, everyday life. I think, the thing about writing is I don't think you can be too precious about it. I think you just have to get on and do it. But those are those wonderful moments that every writer would have, and they're few and far between, when you just totally forget who you are and you write and you're not actually present somehow. You're somewhere else totally, and then you stop and maybe 10 minutes, maybe an hour's gone by, and you've written tons of stuff and you don't kind of know how it happened. Those moments, it does feel like something else has happened to you, that you haven't written it somehow, that you've been absent during the process. Everyone's a writer. Yeah, I wouldn't, anybody who sits down and tries to explain, something, is a writer. We're all writers one way or another. We're all telling stories, and there's no truth. There's never any truth. There's no truth in the world ever, and we're all telling versions of some sort of truth, but there is no truth.